I tested every new designer fragrance release of 2025. From highly anticipated fragrances like Stronger with You Parfum to fragrance releases no one cares about like yet another Carolina Herrera 212 flanker. Somewhere in this pile could be the best new fragrance release of the year so far, and I'm about to try them all. So, are these really the best new fragrance releases of the year, or is it just another round of overhyped bottles? Starting with Jean Paul Gaultier Le Male Elixir Absolute. Now, when I think of Le Male fragrances, I often think you got it in the bag, but in this case, you got it in the can. Now, what I like about this Elixir version of these Le Male fragrances happens to be the gold presentation. Now, we did see that with the original Elixir, and with the Absolute version, that's really carried over. Now, one of the things that is really different about this one to tell them apart is instead of these translucent stripes, you got gold stripes because it's that much more elixir. But enough about that. Now again, compared to other designer fragrances, based on the presentation, you would assume that this one costs a small fortune, but obviously it doesn't. Now on first spray of this fragrance, you're gonna get this warm syrupy plum that comes through, and the plum in this fragrance to me is almost reminiscent of that you would find in Paco Rabanne's Lucky, and that scent is amazing and it feels like it's coming there, but it reaches this fork in the road and decides to go left when we want it to go right. Now obviously they couldn't go too far down that path because, well, it's a different brand and they had to do their own thing. Now, what I will say about the Absolute version of this Le Male scent is that it doesn't come off as juicy as some of the other flankers before it, but this one still does come off as seductive. It's not as sweet, so it's a little bit more mature, but it doesn't feel like something my grandpa would wear. Now, as you might expect, the lavender note that has become so prominent within this Le Male line of scents is still here with this one, but their tonka is probably more noticeable than what you get with that lavender. Now, the lavender there is meant to come in and provide this little freshness to the scent, but that tonka is really where this fragrance comes to life, because to me, this intense or Absolute version is really grounded in making sure that that darkness, that edginess of this fragrance really shines through. So with that being said, if you smell the original Le Male Elixir, then it smells very similar, but it's a little darker, a little richer, and a little more opulent. Would I wear this? Of course, but is it the best new fragrance release of 2025? Only time will tell. Next, we got Rabanne Elixir, and this entire line has been controversial since day one because of the presentation, because of the smell. Some people like it, some people hate it, and others, well, they just love it and want some more of it. But that is not the question. The question is this the best one yet? All right. Listen, every time I smell this one, I feel really, really good. I like what they did with the DNA on this one versus what they've done on some of the others. Now, like a lot of you out there, I've been hit or miss with a lot of these phantom scents, but to me, this one is really good. Right away on first spray of this one, it takes just a different twist. You get this blast of this marine freshness that doesn't really shine through on the others. Plus, you also get this creamy vanilla, and then boom, you're not gonna guess it, oud. At least that's what it says. Now, if you haven't smelled this yet, you might feel like it's gonna come across as something like overpowering. It's not. I feel like this one provides more of a business scent to a fragrance that originally started off to be a little juvenile. Now, in my opinion, the presentations on these have become increasingly easier to stomach because of the color profile, etc. When I look at this, I don't feel super silly about having it on the shelf simply because of this color profile of this bottle. Now, if it was red or wonky green or something, then I might feel even more juvenile. But with this one, I feel like I can get away with it. Now for me, this one does put me in the mindset of YSL Y Elixir. Now it's not the same, but it does take that same type of twist, and Rabanne does its own thing with the DNA. It's subtle, it's clean, it's modern, and it's not this overpowering vanilla bomb that we've seen in the past. If you've been looking for a more sophisticated version of the Phantom scent, then I think that this one is it for you. Again, the oud comes through in this one. It's wearable, it's not pungent. I feel like it comes together well. You get this marine aspect of it. It's really like they taken Phantom, Y Elixir, as well as like an Aqua de Gel, and put them all in one bottle, and you got this. Overall, I think it's a really nice fragrance, but is it the best of the year? We shall see. Next up, we got Dior Homme Parfum, and to some people out there, this might be the biggest flop of the year, but is it worthy of that title? Now, if you're not aware, this is the first Dior Homme release under the creative direction of the master, or one of the master of fragrances, Francis Kurkdjian. He was involved in this scent. Now, when we think about some of the fragrance releases that have come out since he's been there, they haven't been overly popular. So think of Dior Sauvage Eau Forte, as well as this Dior Homme Parfum. Now, Dior Homme Parfum is like the grand pappy, the creme de la creme when it comes to the Dior Homme line of fragrances. And with the re-release in 2025, people were expecting magic. You get a fragrance that has done so well, legendary status, and as well as a legendary perfumer, then boom, you would expect that you would get something top notch, but not necessarily true with this one. Or is it? See, here's the deal. When we think about this scent, people are expecting Francis Kurkdjian to bring his creative juices flowing on this, but at this price point, that's not necessarily what people want, especially in the designer realm. Now, for me, I think that if you are taking the name away from this scent, this is really a good fragrance. Now, gone is that heavy leather fragrance that we got in the original Dior Homme Parfum. This one takes a lighter course. To me, this one's a fresher, more refined, and arguably more classic take on the original Dior Homme Parfum. The iris here is toned down, smoother, almost creamy. With the amber and wood base that just makes this one feel elegant, as you would expect from the Dior Homme Parfum name. Now, is it as bad boy? Is it as sexy? Is it as taboo as the other one? I don't think so. But again, if you're not comparing it to the original, like most people won't be, because I don't think most people still have the OG, then I think that this is a nice offering. At the end of the day, it's sophisticated, it smells good, and it's safe. Now, if Dior Homme Parfum 2025 wasn't dark enough for you, this next one might be right up your alley. From Carolina Herrera, we have Bad Boy Eau de Parfum Elixir. Yes, people, another Elixir fragrance. But this one might be the best one yet. Now, with the Elixir version, I want you to imagine the original Bad Boy fragrance and just dial it up all the way to 1000. It's dark cacao, smoky woods, plus it has this super smooth leather note that makes it perfect for those close encounter and date night activities. Now, of course, as you would expect from this Bad Boy scent, it's sweet. It still has that bold nature to this one. However, this one's a bit more serious, and it's almost like this one was made for those guys out there that are a little more dangerous. Now, I still feel like there's this peanut brittle top note to this scent. I always get that with this scent, but I do really enjoy this fragrance, and I think a lot of people out there will as well. If you haven't got your nose on it, this might be one of those ones that you rush to, but maybe not. This one's gonna be better suited fall and winter, so if you wanna make sure that you're getting yourself prepared for deeper in the year, this is one of those ones that you can grab to really make sure you stand out. Next, we got Stronger With You Parfum, and the Armani Stronger With You lineup is already legendary. So when we think about fragrances and what they bring to the table, we're looking for something to be super special here, because the original was a banger. Even Freeze I find to be dope, but they've been releasing a lot of flankers with this one. So is this one truly necessary? Drum roll, please. Yes, I think the answer is 100% yes. This fragrance is a must-have. Now, here's what I like about this scent is I feel like they've taken what we've enjoyed about other Stronger With You flankers, poured it into one bottle, and made a banger. To me, this one's like the OG, absolutely, and Stronger With You leather had a baby. I'm not sure how that would work. but they had it. The chestnut and vanilla are still present here, but there's this added deep resinous leather note that just makes this one feel richer and more sophisticated. Now, unfortunately, this one is going to be another fragrance that has to come into the collection as a winter or fall fragrance, but this one is cozy. It's a date night killer, and this one's going to be a standout scent in 2025 for those colder months. Now, this one did come out in the beginning of the year before the temperatures begin to rise a bit, so you might have been able to get a little bit of wearing out of it, but most of your wearing on this one's going to come in the fall and deep into the winter. Now, this is a good fragrance, but is there any other fragrances that are that much greater and enough to take the crown? Well, Valentino Uomo Extra Dose Parfum is up next, and this one didn't come to play any games. Now, Valentino is another fragrance brand that tends to do really well, especially when they come down to their flankers. They've been showing up and doing a lot of great things for a lot of years, so you should be expecting a really good fragrance and having high expectations. Well, one thing I do appreciate about this scent is that they didn't use the Elixir name. Elixir's being thrown all around now. It's like the extra buzzword, but they decided to say, no, we're just giving you an extra dose. And you know what? Because there's so many elixirs out right now, that extra dose just sounds that much more intense. But anyway, let me tell you, this one does deliver. You feel like you've gotten an extra dose right off the rip. Now, that lavender is still within this scent. It's present, it smells good, and it feels extra. But all jokes aside, this one feels extra rich, extra warm, and extra sensual. But like a lot of the other fragrances that we talked about today, this one does have that nighttime feel. Now, there is a bit of sweetness in this fragrance, as you would expect from this Born in Roma series of fragrances. It's extra there, but I do feel like this one is balanced out a bit more than some of the other scents that have come before it within this flanker series. If you enjoy lavender dominant scents, if you enjoy sweet fragrances, if you enjoy fragrances that have that I don't want to be played with type of feel, then this might be a fragrance for you. And if you're still here, we still have 212 VIP Black NY Rodeo limited edition fragrance that no one cares about. Listen, Carolina Herrera, every year they come out with another one, and probably multiple times a year, another one of these 212 fragrances, and they don't get much love or much talk within the world because, well, they put out fragrances like Bad Boy Elixir, and that's one of the top. So let's see if you should even care about this fragrance, and that's the only reason why I picked it up. Now, before I talk about the scent, I will say that the presentation for these 212 fragrances, they're always heavy, they feel good in your hand, and the presentation, it looks good. Now, it has these stars on there, and it's not Texas, it's New York, and I feel like with these stars, it gives me cowboy vibes, but this was probably American flag vibes. Now, unlike most of the fragrances we talked about today, with the exception of the Phantom Elixir, this one has more of a spring type of vibe to it, where it's a little more green, it's a tad bit earthy, and the sweetness is toned way down. But with that said, it doesn't feel exciting. It doesn't feel like something that's new. However, when you think about it, it does depart from everything else that has recently come out. Is that going to help it, or is that going to hurt it? In my personal opinion, I think it's going to hurt it, simply because not that the 212 line of fragrances isn't respected, because it is, but I just think there's so much hype around the others. People are excited about it, and they might just say, hey, there's nothing too exciting about this, where they should have gone the other way. Now, I do think that when I think of like the Twilight version fragrance is what I called it, that one was also kind of the worst release. So we'll see. I'm not saying that this is horrible, but it doesn't compete with the others that are out there. So if you were spending your money, you could probably find this one a lot cheaper. In fact, you can find all these fragrances cheaper from my friends over at fragrancebuy.ca. When it comes to getting new fragrances, Well, they got the best pricing. Every week, head over to their site and check out and browse and see what's there, because I got all of these fragrances below retail, and that allowed me to save enough money to buy more fragrances. As always, I'll have these fragrances linked and listed down below so you can check and see for yourself. And when I say these fragrances are less expensive, we're not talking $3 to $5, we're talking $30 to $50. Head on over, check them out today, because a lot of these fragrances do sell out fairly quickly because, again, they're a lot less expensive than we have here within our retail stores. But anyway, when it comes down to 212 VIP Black New York Rodeo, I'm gonna say I'm gonna pass this one off in a hot New York minute. So there you have it. These are some bangers, and 2025 is starting out right, especially in the designer world. Let me know which fragrance has picked up your attention the most and which other fragrances I need to add to the collection. So if you enjoyed this video, then click here to see 10 cheap clone fragrances everyone's buying in 2025.